Hello viewers and welcome to the program, our program Eve on EBS, where women voices are amplified, where women issues are deliberated. And on Eve today, our searchlight is on pastors' wives. Should pastors' wives be full-time housewives? That is the question we're asking this evening. And joining me on the program is a pastor's wife, a mother, and an entrepreneur. She is Blessing Phil Aroji. Many thanks for joining me on
Thank you.
tonight.
Thank you.
Let me begin to ask you, can you just take us on your personal life experience, how you became a pastor's wife, and even after becoming a pastor's wife, what is your life like? Was it able to shape you from what you used to be now that you're a pastor's wife? Take us through your experience.
Thank you, viewers at home. Like you said, my name is Pastor Blessing Phil Aroji. Being a pastor's wife has not been easy. The office of a pastor's wife, I say office because the pastor's wife has her office. Apart from being a wife at home, in the church you have a roles to play. Personally, as a pastor's wife, I have not found it so rosy because there are lifestyles that you used to live before you become a pastor's wife that you no longer should be living. There are friends that you used to keep before you become a pastor's wife that you must leave, so that you can fulfill and actually fit in to that position properly. So as a pastor's wife, I have been working day and night assisting my husband in the church because that is all I'm supposed to be doing, not making the work hard for him. Actually, according to the scripture, said the woman is the helpmate. She should be helping out, not just in the house, not just financially, but also in the church. There are things the man will not see, or things that he may not notice, that as a wife, if you notice it, you draw attention to it. It will make the work easy. Like sometimes my husband travels and I'm there to assist the other ministers, and that makes the work very easy for him to go ahead and do other things, especially things that affect
Now,
the ministry.
you said something very striking. You said, as a pastor's wife, or when you eventually becomes a pastor's wife, some friends that you are keeping, you can't keep them anymore.
No.
But as a pastor's wife, is it not possible for you to win these friends to the kingdom of God?
It is possible, but there are some that you cannot win. But do you know that it is easier to pull down than to pull up? So when you have some friends in your life, and you know that these friends have known you too well, so trying to pull them up or telling them about church or about Christ, at times it's not easy. So instead of allowing them to pull you down, you let them go. Friends are not supposed to be in your life forever. Every category of friend you have, if you will be sincere, they were friends that were your friends like 20 years ago, now no longer your friends. You just see outside and just all you have is just hello friends. It's not because you hate them, it's because they no longer fit in to that season of your life anymore. So trying to drag them along may affect you negatively, thereby, affecting the work of God.
So now, do you feel pressure to conform to some certain rule? Or this pressure as a pastor's wife, do you feel pressure sometimes to conform to some certain rules? And how do you handle such pressure?
Pressure conforming to some certain rules. Let me see a role like being the woman leader in church. By the grace of God in our church, I'm the president of the women. When we are doing our women conference or convention, trying to get money from the women is not easy. So there is much pressure in that area. And I wouldn't want a situation also where a woman will stop coming to church because of money. So I'm left with the option of trying to meet up with the bills personally. So that no woman will now say, that church is because they ask for money too much, I will stop going to church or stop coming to church. So financially, that's how I handle some of these pressures.
Okay, now, do you think it's essential for a pastor's wife to be a full-time housewife?
No pastor's wife should be a full-time housewife. That's a very, very dangerous thing to do. Because when you look at the times and season we are now, if you leave the responsibility for the man alone, he may die before his time. Because the man, if he has no house, have to pay the house rent. If you have no church, personal church building, we pay the rent for the church building. If he has children in the school, he has to pay school fees. Some might get sick and he may need to go to hospitals. And there are family members and even church members that you need to attend to. So being a full-time pastor's wife is not a suggestion at all that you think about. It's not. So for women out there that think they are actually, I don't think there is anybody that is a housewife. Because now you have people whose office is the kitchen. They cook, they prepare food, and they bring to social media, asking people to patronize them in the kitchen. I think why some people think they are housewives is because they wake up in the morning, lazy around, they will not bath till about 4 o'clock in the evening. No, they will not do things that they should have done. They still feel, they are within the house, they are in the house, they are housewife. If you wake up in the morning, you take your bath, you start to work in the house. You are working already. You are working already. Tell me what the house girl will employ. What do they come to do? It's not to clean the house, to sweep the house, and to cook, which is the same work that the so-called housewife is doing. So when you wake up in the morning, have that mentality that you are not just at home doing nothing. The only difference is that they are not being paid. But honestly, there is nobody that's a housewife. Everybody's working.
Okay, now I just heard that you are also a pastor, like you said.
Yeah.
I thought you're just a pastor's wife. Now, your husband hosts a church. Are you co-pastoring the church with your husband? Is there kind of division in the church? What rules? What are your duties? Are they spelled out for you?
My duty are not spelled out for now.
Okay.
Maybe in the future it will, but for now, I'm just everywhere. If I notice that there is pothole anywhere, I quickly go to intervene. For example, I was in church and I heard some noises at the IT department. I have to stand up to go and settle them. No? When I notice that in the children department, maybe they're not having enough teacher at times, I can become the children teacher. You see? When choirs are having issue and the report comes to me, I go to encourage them. When marriages are having issue, they come to me, I encourage them. And I always tell them that there is no marriage that is perfect. Everybody has their own issue. So I think every pastor's wife should have that mentality to work everywhere. To work everywhere. Don't say this is only this place I will focus on. You focus on this place, what happened to this other side?
Now,
So it's
how
everywhere.
do you handle church members' welfare? You know, some pastors, some church members, especially women, they can be very difficult
Yes.
to handle.
That's
You know, and some would prefer to go to daddy to tell daddy this is what I am going to. Are you being a woman? You know, they will feel I don't want to talk with a woman. I want to go straight to daddy and talk to him. You understand?
That
So
is very common.
how do you feel?
Honestly, I don't feel anything because I already expect that it will happen. So what you expect, just put your mind that these things will happen, and just zero your mind on the fact that if it happens, this is how we handle it. No, like I tell people, if I found out today that somebody say is pregnant for my husband, my only prayer is let it be a girl.
And you'll be comfortable.
If that girl is thinking that I will leave my husband because of her, she's just wasting her time. She's just wasting her time. No matter, I will be comfortable, because if you reduce yourself to sleeping with my husband and you get pregnant, you are on your own.
But your husband is a pastor. Shouldn't be involved in that.
They shouldn't be
talked about.
In the first place, they shouldn't be involved. But in case it happens, I will not deny him. Because you see, if you see the way some guests dress to church, and no men are moved by what they see. So I don't pray it happens. But if it's happened, I'm just telling you in case. I've prepared my mind already.
And do you sometimes feel intimidated when you see some female members dressed, like you said, they dress her anyhow to church? Do you feel insecure?
Honestly, I do not feel insecure. That is the honest truth. I do not feel insecure because I knew that this is the kind of work my husband does. It involves women, it involves men. As a matter of fact, it involves more of women. So what I do daily is to pray for him. And if you have prayed to God for your husband to help him in certain areas, I believe God will do so.
You know, sometimes ago I had a pastor's wife on this show. When we were talking, we got to a point where like, do you sometimes feel that some female worshippers are in competition with you in church?
Of course, there will always be in competition. But for me, I see it as myself being a role model. If you decide to wear the kind of dress that I wear, I don't see it on the negative side. I see it as you are trying to follow my footsteps, which is good. Because if you begin to think of the negative side of everything, you as the pastor's wife, you will die before your time. So if I see, maybe I wear a kind of dress this week, and somebody now goes to wear it, I see it as, oh, this dress is fine. That's why she has gone to wear it. As a matter of fact, I will call the person to say, I like this hairstyle. How will I do? By all means, at all costs, I make sure I'm happy with everybody. Something happened, and somebody asked me a question. It was a women fellowship. He said, what will you do if you notice that somebody is close to your husband? He said, the question came in a way that
unexpected.
was unexpected.
Yeah.
So I said, I think I just prayed in my mind, and I opened my mouth as I began to speak. I told her, if I notice that somebody is close to my husband, I will be close to the person also. All of us will be in a relationship. I will make sure I love that person with all my heart.
So how do you maintain your personal
And that
identity?
love will weaken her intentions towards my husband.
Okay. So how do you maintain your personal identity and sense of being you outside the pastor's wife now?
My personal identity outside the pastor's wife. I'm confident in myself. I'm very proud of myself. I don't hide under my husband's shadow. I want to be known. When you mention Pastor Blessing, you should know what I represent. There are some persons, when they want to introduce themselves, you don't know that pastor. I want to be called.
Your name should ring bell when it's been mentioned.
And one of the things I'm trying to set up is a foundation. It's called Arrow Foundation. I'm going to blow my trumpets with time, so that whenever you hear Arrow Foundation, you will know Pastor Blessing. I don't want to hide under my husband's shadow, because he has also given me a wing to fly. My husband is not that kind of person that oppresses the woman. No, he's giving me all the allowance that I need, the opportunity that I need. As a matter of fact, in our last women convention, he gave me 2 bags of rice to share for the widows, because Arrow Foundation is all about empowering widows, orphans, and women. So he gave me 2 bags of rice to share for them.
So what do you think pastors, female pastors, should be doing differently in ministry to win souls to the kingdom?
First is love. Show the people love. Love the people around you. Love the people in the church. Visit them. Ask after them. Don't just know them. Know their relatives. I have a member now whose mother is in UBT. I speak with him. Last time I spoke with them was around after 1 yesterday night. The mother don't attend church is the girl that is in choir. If I leave here now, they'll be the first person I will stick up. Love them, love their families, be there for them. If they are looking for 100 naira, if it's 1 naira you have, give to them. Support them in the best of your ability. And I tell you the truth, they will be there for you.
So do you think more women pastors should be encouraged? We should have more women pastors in Nigeria or across the globe?
I think women pastors should be encouraged. Women pastors should be encouraged because when you check through the Bible, every woman that distinguished herself to do the will of God was excellent in all their ways. Deborah, because she was a judge, she was a mother, a wife. She was not just a judge, she was the one that delivered Israel in a time when the men were afraid to go to war. She said, I, Deborah, rose up to the challenge. What about Esther? She was the one that delivered her people from being killed. What about is it Naomi? Is it Ruth now? Ruth was one that preserved the generation of her husband's lineage. When she followed the mother-in-law and said, your God will be my God, and where you die, that's where I will die.
And treat me not to leave you.
Yes. So women should be given opportunity to to also be pastors, because they can do more than you can expect. I think so.
Okay, what advice would you like to give to female pastors or those? There are some now, maybe they may be in courtship. Pastor's wife. There's this belief those days. God forbid, I can marry a pastor. I can never be a pastor's wife, because then pastors were seen as church rats.
Yeah.
Exactly. But now it's no longer the same. I think that narrative has changed over the years. Now, what advice would you like to give to young females who might be marrying to pastors? You can never tell. Someone is watching you.
My advice out there to young ladies that want to get married to pastors is that they do not think that it is rosy as they see some pastors' wife looking, because every pastor is coming from somewhere and they have their stories. The pastor that you are seeing today that is making you want to marry a pastor was not like that from the beginning. That is somebody's workmanship. Somebody worked on him or worked on her, whichever way. that she has become a brand that everybody now want to look like. So when you get married as a young lady to a pastor, you should also be ready to work on your husband so that he will look like what you want.
So what support should they give? Now they are married. Like you said, it's not that rosy being a pastor's wife. So in the event that they are now married to the pastor, should they be lazy as pastors' wives? So what support should they be giving to their husband who are pastors?
The support, all the support that the husband needs, especially prayers. Every pastor needs financial support. They need to be prayed for consistently. They need to be welcomed with open arms. Because when the pastor has gone to church and has finished preaching and have seen all manner of girls or have done, has preached and is coming home, you should come home and meet a home, not a house. You should come home and meet a woman that is ready to welcome her. You should come home and meet food. Those are the things that the man needs. You should come home and meet food. It shouldn't be that he has dropped money for food and then he return home. It's now you are cooking or now you are coming from the market. That's not good at all. So the pastors need to be taken care of.
I understand that you are into business. So
Yes.
how do you manage this with your role as a pastor's wife and as a mother? So how do you merge all of this together and you are still getting positive results?
The thing is that the business I do is from the house. Because honestly, I would have loved to do a wider, bigger business. But every time I thought of the church, I knew to affect the church. So I restrain myself. So I do a business from the house. What I do is baking.
Okay.
Yes. And that is because of church. So because of church, I have to do business from the house so I can manage the business, manage the church, and then also carry the children along. Because no matter how much progress you make in life, even apart from being a pastor, if your children are not curtailed, if you are not there for them, and they now go wayward, all you achieve one day will go down the drain because you are not there for them.
Okay, before we go, I want you to, as a mother and as a pastor's wife, I want you to speak to our audience. In this trying time, you agree with me that Nigeria, things are hard right now. I want you to speak to mothers, sisters out there. Just one word before we shut down.
Okay. The seasons are hard, we know, but wisdom is profitable for direction. You know, there is a story about the ant. Said there is a season in the time of the ant when they gather, so that when the hard time comes, they no longer need to gather. They go and begin to enjoy what they already gathered. So there are seasons when things are soft. It is not always dry. When things are good and comfortable to you as a pastor's wife, please gather as much as you can gather, so that when things become difficult, you can fall back to what you have gathered, and then life will be easy for you to live.
Like the biblical word in Ecclesiastes, right? If I'm
Yes.
correct, there's a time for everything. There's a time to gather.
Yes.
There's a time to plant.
Yes.
And there's a time to water.
Yes.
So you heard it all. I've been speaking with Pastor Blessing Phil Aroji. We want to appreciate you for coming on Eve
Thank you.
today. And that has been it on Eve. You heard it all. Don't always eat everything you have at your disposal. Remember, Renegade is coming, where you need to like plant and wait for the rainy day.
Yes.
Well, that has been a moment. We bring you another exciting episode on Eve, same time next week. I remain your anchor on the show, Miriam Ogene. Thank you for watching. Goodbye.